It's Easter! I'm Catholic, so today I'm making a resurrection garden. From a bunch of trash! 'Cause, like, new life and stuff, you know. While I do this, I do want to talk about trash, specifically municipal solid waste. That's the technical term for household garbage, and we make a lot of it. About 2.5 billion tons globally every year. Something that's expected to increase by at least another billion in the next few decades. Around 320 million tons of that is plastic, 93 million tons of which is mismanaged. Yeah, a lot of numbers, but what does any of that mean? Well, not great things for ecosystems around the world. And we happen to live in the world, and be a part of its ecosystems. The safest place for unrecyclable municipal solid waste to go is a landfill that keeps its trash in one place and treats any liquid that filters through it before it enters the ground so it doesn't leach toxic chemicals into the ground. However, if waste doesn't make it there, it becomes damaging to the environment. Waste that is littered, dumped, or put into an insecure landfill breaks down, allowing heavy metals, microplastics, and other pollutants to leak out into the open environment. This can cause snails, prawns, fish, and frogs to consume the toxins, which can then make their way up the food chain, becoming more concentrated along the way in a process called biomagnification. Ooh. Basically, that's when small consumers, think zooplankton, get a little bit of toxin in them, and then those are eaten by large consumers, say a small fish, who gets all the toxins from every small consumer they eat. Repeat this for a few trophic levels, and you get dangerous levels of toxins in the highest order consumers, which in this example include everything from polar bears to people. At high concentrations, toxins released by waste like phenols and microplastics can cause reproductive problems, chronic diseases, and even death. In addition to causing direct harm to species by exposing them to harmful substances, waste, even when properly managed, can also cause change to environments themselves. Millions of acres of otherwise undeveloped land have been used for sanitary landfills, while waste left in open environments can block drainage canals and gullies. The good news is that you can help deal with this. On average, the wealthier the country you live in, the more municipal solid waste it produces per capita. So if you're watching this, there's a good chance reducing your waste production in your daily life will have an outsized effect on global waste production, compared to someone somewhere else in the world. The first and most important way to help is to reduce the amount of stuff you need to get rid of. Make it a habit when you go to the grocery store or shop online to ask yourself a few questions before any purchase. First, do I really need this? Yeah, cliche, I know, but it helps. Often you can find an alternative to purchasing a new object, like borrowing one from a friend, or local lending library, shopping secondhand, which is often cheaper too, or even just waiting until you find the one you know you had around here somewhere if you do need it, especially for food objects. Next, ask, is there a way I can get this or a version of this that has little or no single-use plastic? Look for options with less packaging. Often there's a way to buy an object that uses more recyclable or more biodegradable packaging than plastics. Also, look for things that can be reused over things that are disposed of after one use. Do you need the individually packaged chip bags, or can you portion out the chips into reusable bowls and containers yourself? Do you need the carrots in the plastic bag, or can you bring a reusable mesh bag and grab some loose bulk carrots? Do you need the paper towels, or can you use reusable towels or an air blower? If you think you'll need water when you're out, carry a reusable bottle, and in lieu of that, try finding a water fountain instead of reaching for a single-use plastic bottle. Seriously, I know they're convenient, but if you have access to a faucet with safe drinking water, you can live without them. Party supplies can be used for many years. Reuse your gift bags, cloth gift wrappings, tissue paper, if you treat it with care, garlands, and more. If you're hosting a gathering and need many more dishes than you can wash, try getting compostable dishes. They'll still end up in a landfill if you throw them in the normal trash, but they won't become microplastics. It can feel daunting at first, but finding out how to make these little changes one at a time will enable you to reduce waste every time you need more of that object, which adds up. If you are done with something, it might or might not be municipal solid waste. First, see if you can give it away. If it doesn't seem functional anymore, it's probably either time to turn it into something else, like what I'm doing here, or find the correct waste stream to put it in to have the least negative impact on the planet. Repurposing is preferable to recycling, given energy was already used to turn the material into its current form, and more would need to be spent in order to turn it into a new one. Plus, most materials can't be recycled forever. But crafting with found objects also takes your time and effort, and you can't do that with every piece of trash. Once you've got waste, knowing where to put it is also important. Unfortunately, I can't give specific advice here, since where to put what is dependent on local collection programs. You're gonna have to do some research about your area. First, recycling. You probably know the basics here, but I'll run over them for those who don't. If you live in a place with curbside, single-stream recycling, you can put every recyclable thing into one bin. That's metal, glass, most kinds of paper and cardboard, potentially excluding those with shiny printed surfaces, and some types of plastic. Most places do not want you to bag your recyclables. Plastic bags can't be recycled in the same manner as rigid plastics, and they can clog the machines that sort recyclables. Additional things to look out for. Make sure the thing you place in the bin is made of one of these materials only. If the plastic and paper are all joined together, like in certain kinds of juice or milk cartons, it can't be recycled in typical facilities. Before putting anything in the bin, it should be clean and dry. Foodstuffs can't be recycled, and contaminated items can cause many surrounding recyclables, up to the entire truckload, to be diverted to landfills. Although, I have seen one recycling collection service that takes greasy pizza boxes, so again, do your research. Some recycling plants can't process bits of materials that are too small, unless your local recycling service says otherwise. Items that are smaller than 2 inches wide or long can't be recycled, so don't recycle plastic lids, straws, or utensils. Flexible plastics generally have to be manually dropped off at store collection bins, if they can be recycled in your area at all. Finally, when in doubt, throw it out. Check your recycling guidelines as well as you can, but if you can't clearly see that your object is recyclable, throw it in the garbage. This helps avoid contamination. There is a possibility that your recycled objects won't actually make it to become new products. It isn't necessarily profitable to process loads of recycling for their raw materials, and some municipalities ship their recycling overseas, where it often ends up being mismanaged and then entering the environment. That's part of why it's so important to focus on reducing waste in the first place. Next, composting. If your waste is exclusively made of stuff that was once alive, it can be composted. Commercially, anyway. Vermicomposting, that's the kind where you have a worm bucket, generally excludes meat, dairy, and compostable dishes and cutlery, which worms can't digest so well and should be broken down at high temperatures instead. Food waste is the largest category of municipal solid waste, making up 38% of it globally, which comes out to about 1 billion tons every year. Look into composting services in your area. You might be surprised at what they offer. Commercial curbside compost pickup might be something within your budget, and you can divert food waste from landfills and into projects that help farms and gardens flourish. Additionally, textile recycling. If you have fabric with damage that can't be mended, look for groups in your area that take textiles and turn them into something new. Often craft groups exist, although they might be looking for excess bulk fabrics only. You will likely be able to find some place that takes unusable garments, shoes, etc. and cuts cleaning rags out of them, reduces them to fibers, and spins new yarn out of them, or shreds them for use in non-woven materials like insulation and soundproofing. Finally, look for dedicated collection and recycling services. The more sorting you do, instead of leaving that to the recycling plant, the more likely it is for the stuff you recycle to actually become something new. If you got any questions about waste, please ask them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer. I've done a lot of research about this stuff and generally try to live a waste-minimizing life, although I know there are ways I could do better still. Also, Happy Easter! It'll still be Easter by the Catholic tradition for 50 more days, so that's plenty of time to collect up some colorful trash and make your own resurrection garden. Tear yellow plastic into flowers, fold gum wrappers into birds, cut and stack colorful lids into succulents. Use your imagination and your trash. Best of luck out there. Peace be with you, and I will see you at another time.